Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of Soundtrackin. I have one question for you. Have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight? Jack Nicholson made those words famous 23 years ago in Tim Burton's Batman. This film, starring Michael Keaton as the Caped Crusader, came with a spectacular soundtrack done by none other than Danny Elfman. Now, Danny Elfman has done a fantastic job of soundtracks over the years, and some of them have been very bizarre, twisted, and a little bit demented, but I love his unique style that comes with his soundtracks. He's done such things as Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Beetlejuice, Darkman, and The Frighteners. Danny Elfman has composed every full-length film Tim Burton has ever directed, save for one. What film is it? We'll have the answer for that later in the show. The Batman score is the Phantom of the Opera for superheroes, but rather than having one Phantom, you have two Phantoms. Where on one hand you have the brooding, dark, and mysterious Phantom, and on the other you have the more demented, practical Joker with the flair for dramatics and a bit of a cackle. It's a bit like I'm standing in the field, decked out in a tuxedo. There's a helicopter hovering above me, and I'm ready to lay some smackdown, Batman style. And just as I'm ready to do that, my wife steps out. And she is dressed in this elegant white gown. And she gracefully walks over to me across the field. And she takes my hand, I take hers, and we begin to waltz through a field of dead bodies. So what I can say about this Batman soundtrack is it's classic, dramatic, heroic, a bit comical, and a little bit demented. But above all else, it's inspiring. Alright, on to my top 3 picks for the Batman soundtrack. My number 3 pick for the Batman soundtrack is track 9, Photo's Beautiful Dreamer. The Beautiful Dreamer song itself is heard throughout the Batman soundtrack, and it's in variations, such as in the Batman theme, you can hear it with longer notes and lower notes. And with the Joker side, it's a little bit more playful, and that's why I love this track. Track 9 is the basis for the entire soundtrack. My number 2 pick for the Batman soundtrack is track 10, Descent into Mystery. Descent into Mystery is one of my favorite tracks from any soundtrack of all time. It makes me feel like jumping in my car when it's raining at night, driving around at super fast speeds, lightning and thunder all around me, and the turbines in my car flare up as I hit the switch, and wait, no, that's Batman. Alright, my number 1 pick for the soundtrack is track 19, The Final Confrontation. The Final Confrontation uses a lot of that Beautiful Dreamer and blends in the Joker's elements and the Batman elements. Now you feel more of the Batman and the dark and brooding pieces, and this is the final confrontation of who's going to win the stage. Is it the dark and brooding Phantom, or is it the more practical Joker and dramatic Phantom? It's a bit like a big fencing match. One guy who's dressed up as a clown and the other one as a bat. So now on to my final score for the Batman soundtrack, done by Danny Elfman. I wanted to do the Batman soundtrack this week because last week I did The Dark Knight Rises. I'm Batman. So for the Dark Knight Rises soundtrack, it came in as an 8.44. So this soundtrack came in at a 9.0 rating. Both of these soundtracks are amazing in their own venues. The Dark Knight Rises soundtrack is the darker, more brutal soundtrack, whereas the Batman soundtrack done by Danny Elfman is a more classical piece. So earlier in the show, I asked you this question. Danny Elfman has composed every full-length film Tim Burton has directed, save for one. What film is it? The answer is Ed Wood. Alright, that's it for today's show, and I'd like to thank everyone for watching. Before you leave, please take a moment to fill out a comment below, and maybe tell me what your thoughts are on the Batman soundtrack. And also, feel free to share this. Share the love of soundtracks. Thanks again for watching, and until that next time, listen to some great soundtracks. Batman. That's right. I like chocolate ice cream. And chocolate cake, too. And I like cars that fly. And are... You know what? I think I'm gonna go to bed.